Hi everyone, I'm Holly D, and today we're going to be making bass like this. And bass like this. Okay, so let's get straight into it then. So yeah, this is a bass that I made for a track of mine called Views that come out on Invicta Audio. And I've used it in a few other tracks now, so it's quite a versatile bass. What I'll do is just give it a quick play and then we'll have a look how it's all made. So yeah, that's the bass. And what I've done here is I've made it in Viol and in Serum. So if you haven't got Serum, you can actually get Viol for free. It's a really good synthesizer. But what I'll do is I'll start with Serum because most people seem to use that. So yeah, I've just basically made it in both of them for this tutorial. And it's quite basic. So we'll start with the sub and let's have a look at the MIDI. So the note is E2. And let's have a look at the sub oscillator I've got here. Sine wave, the random phase is off. It's turned down 2 octaves. The master's set at like 8 dB there, -8, I think. And LFO1 is moving the level, modulating the level. So it's on trigger mode. I should put that on trigger mode there. The rate's 1/2 note. And I've got this sort of shape here. So what that's going to do is just create a pulse for the sub. Let's have a little listen. So yeah, it's just making the sub pulse. And that's pretty much everything on the sub oscillator there. So I haven't got any post-processing on that. I've just turned it up by like 0.8 dB. And what I'll be doing is pushing this up now with the tone. So that's how this bass is made. It's essentially taking the sub and a tone and creating a nice saturation together to get a thick, dense sound. So let's have a look at how that's being done. We don't need that on, or that on, or that on. So yeah, it's just oscillator B. I've just used oscillator B for this one. And the octave's not turned up by 2. The MIDI note's the same. It's going to be E2 again, as you can see there. I've just turned the semitones up by +7. So this is essentially 2 octave and 7 semitones up from the root note. And I think that's going to be B3. So let's have a little look on span and have a look where that tone is coming up. Let's go here, solo that. So there's the tone. You can see it's at B3. And let's take off all the processing on the channel now. And what I'm doing here is I'm running the sub and the tone into a bass bus. That's where the saturation is going to happen and a bit of EQ. So what I'm going to do is turn all of that off too. So we're just going to listen to the tone now without any processing. And what I've got on the effects for the tone is the hyperdimension. So this is to give it a bit more stereo width. The size is at 16 and the hyperdimension is at 34. That's not on. And the key thing here, what I'm doing is putting the 3 unisons, 3 voices on this tone. And the detune set to 0.28. So basically, when I move that detune, it's going to create different variations in the modulation of the tone. So creating different movements, essentially. But we'll have a look at that when we get into the variation. I'll show you a bit more of that. But other than that, we've got LFO1 modulating the level all the way from 0 to the top again with this sort of shape. So very similar to what we had, just a bit of a less extended part there. It was up there, weren't it? We got it more like this here. Over 1/2 note rate again, trigger mode on. So that's the patch. It's really basic. And that's what it comes out sounding like. So let's have a look what I've done. I've got here just a, basically what this is doing is just turning the tone down by 13 dB. So you could have just put a utility gain plugin on and brought that down by 13 dB, or I could have turned this down by 13 dB. I've just done it like this, just a bit loud. And then I'm going to be using Thermal to push that tone back up with a little bit of clipping by, let's have a look, 5 dB. So I'm just isolating the band, basically, 139 hertz to 425, just to isolate the tone. and it creates it should create a little bit of extra harmonics then. And this is all going to, it will sound redundant at this point, but when it gets pushed into with the sub into a bit more saturation and distortion, it's going to be more effective. You'll hear, we'll go back on it and I'll show you that. So yeah, if I just show you now, I've got another EQ here. So it's just pushing the tone up by 7 dB and reducing the side signal by 2.15 dB. So just to make it a bit more mono, and I've actually put this on dynamic, just so it moves a little bit, so you can see it's fluctuating between 5 and 7 dB of gain. And like I said, you're not gonna really notice it now, but when it does hit everything else, it's gonna be more, much more noticeable how this sound comes together. So I've got Decapitator now on. I've got the mode on E, the dark set to this, like the tone set to dark, two dots down. I've put the high cut on up a little bit, and the drive's at 2. That's pretty much everything here. So once again, it's just adding a little bit more saturation into this signal. Once again, it's not going to come apparent till we hit this next stage on the bus. But this is quite an important plugin, this SPL Deverb. So what this is doing is shorten it up. So think of like a reverb where it creates a sustained tail, a bit more atmosphere around it. This is helping to reduce that and bring it back a bit, almost like a transient designer would do with a hit like a snare. You can bring back the tail a little bit. So what this is doing is just kind of reducing the ambience, the reverb. And I found, because I put the unison on with the voices and the detune, it's creating a bit of like a blur to the signal, and this is helping to like focus the signal back to more of a controlled state. So yeah, what I've got that set up to here is like -15 there, and I've pushed the output gain up by a dB. So it's much more controlled now with this post-processing on. So now let's put the sub together and this tone, and let's have a look at the levels before they go into the bus. I'm going to put it on this mode here, and I'll just quickly show you those settings, so if you want to pause that. So the sub's nearly hitting -6. It's just like a dB off, and the tone's at about -18. And you can see that little pink bit there, that's my stereo side signal. So let's go into the bus now. The first thing I'm going to do is just compress them together a little bit. The threshold's like -1, and the ratio's right to the top. Slow attack, fast release. It's really subtle compression. This is just going to be the first stage of gluing them together, and it's probably not going to be the most important part of this, but that's the first stage I've done. And next up is Saturn. And what I'm doing is using the drive to 25% on a band between 150 and 470 hertz. So this is where the main harmonics are, where the tone is, as you can see here. And I'm not affecting the sub-region, but I'm then driving everything above that 100% with the clean tube. And I've reduced the level by 2 dB, and I've pushed the level up by 3.95 dB. So this is to push that tone up again and get the extra harmonics that are being produced after that tone a little bit more saturated in the mix. And next up, I've got Shaper Box. So this is just to basically where my kick will be, because I've got a kick basically in the track here and no other kick. So it's just sidechaining it to control it at the initial attack of the sound. And then it's not going to be the most important. You can do this, to taste basically this sidechain. But I do 2 sidechains. So one before the next stage of like saturation, and then one after that stage. So I'll show you that. So yeah, next up I've got another EQ, which is just going to be cleaning up the bass area. So I'm pushing the sub up by like 1 dB. You can see I've got a 48 dB octave cut there at 20 hertz. And I'm reducing the frequencies around 130 hertz by 1.2 dB there. And that's just to create a more focus in the sub area, and then split that between the tones. So the tone's here, isn't it? So yeah, I'm just reducing these harmonics here and letting the tone be the most fundamental part of that sound. And then next up is the final stage of the sort of drive of the signal, the saturation, is the soft clipping. So you can use any soft clipper. I don't need that there. So yeah, if I was to move that to 100% there, it'll be hard clipping. So I've got it set to soft, and I'm driving it by 2 dB. So this is going to be what really squashes it together now, creates a more denser signal. Okay, and then I've got a one last sidechain there, basically, for where the kick will be. And that's pretty much how this bass is made. So you can see how that all comes together now, and it creates a much more thick, dense signal. So if I was to turn this post-processing off, you can see it's not controlled. So all of that post-processing on the actual tone is really important to getting it more controlled and getting it to saturate nicely with the sub. Now I'm just going to go into the Vital and just show you the variation and how it's made in Vital. So if we had a look at the sub, you know, it's really simple. It's just the same sort of LFO over a sub that's been dropped down by 2 octaves. That's the sub. And the tone here, you can see here is the 7 octaves up, 7 semitones up. And you can see I can change the detune amount like I can on Serum. And if I just play this one here, I'll show you the detune being. So you can see there, by moving that detune, it's creating a different movement, a different modulation to the sound. And that is how I'm creating these variations over here. So I've done the same in Serum again, like I've got the detune now at 0.5 here. And that's creating a much more faster rate movement. And then I've got one over here on Vital, which is 4% instead of 20, what it was at originally, to make it sound like a more long sustained note. And yeah, I've also put a pitch bend on the sub there and on the tone, just to give it a bit of variation. So yeah, that's how you can create some different variations and movement in this sound. And also something you can do, you could try, is to send the bass bus to an effects and high cut it, but put Decapitator on first, or like Thermal again, to create some upper mid harmonic distortions in it. And then you can also create a reverb send from that, which really creates a really thick and gritty sound if you do that right. So yeah, there's a lot of things you can try to get different variations, textures, and different cool stuff coming from this. But yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to go over in this video. What I'll do is I will leave the presets up on this one. They're really basic, really easy to make yourself. It's more about learning the post-processing and see where you can take it. But yeah, if you like the video, hit the like button. If you want to see more like this, subscribe. And if you want to support me, head over to my Patreon. I'll leave the link in the description. Exclusive tracks, production videos, sample packs, stems,